Actually in office, the Premier of Ontario, we had a choice. We had a choice. Save 2/3 of the jobs or let the company go down. We chose the future. We chose the future for Algoma Steel so they can invest in the future, so we can buy Canadian, so we can build this country.
This Algoma Steel situation is getting sketchier by the day, and everyone is turning on Mark Carney, and we love to see it. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. This is where we debrief and discuss pop culture and politics from an independent perspective. And if that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends because it's hard to get my name out in Commie Canada. Let's get into it. So I have a lot of questions about what's going on with this Algoma Steel situation, and I'm sure you do as well. So first of all, since my video yesterday, we have learned that Mark Carney and the Liberals and Doug Ford knew that 1,000 people were going to be losing their jobs from now until February. And, you know, instead of actually telling people that this was going to happen, they made the deal anyways. And I'm sitting here wondering what you guys think is the correct answer, because I'm sitting here thinking, well, if you knew that 1,000 people in the area were going to lose their jobs, which seems like a lot of people. So there were close to 2,800 employees at Algoma Steel, and they're laying off 1,000. I don't know, guys. That seems like a pretty big risk to invest however many millions of dollars that they did, when, by the way, the CEO of Algoma Steel collects $5.6 million for his salary. So you're telling me Mark Carney and Doug Ford got together, decided to give our tax dollars to a company where the CEO makes $5.6 million a year, but has to lay off 1,000 people to get this green initiative going. I don't think that looks too good, you guys. I think that the outrage that I am seeing about Mark Carney on the internet isn't actually manufactured at all. I think this is genuine, especially coming from leftists who openly admit that they were wrong for voting for him. We will get into those clips after. So 2 questions that we are asking right now is, was this a good idea to save this, investing millions of our tax dollars into this, to know that 1,000 people are going to lose their jobs and only about 1,000 people are going to, or 1,200 people are going to be keeping their jobs? And what did the union know, and why wasn't this transparent to the workers right from the beginning? Like, oh, you know, we could save the company, but 1,000 of you are going to lose your jobs. Maybe we should be able to vote on these things. In my opinion, if we're giving millions of our tax dollars to these companies to bail them out of things, which is not capitalism in the slightest, how did you guys decide? I'm hoping it was seniority, but how did you guys decide who you were going to lay off and who you weren't going to lay off? Were you guys honest about this? The union, did the union know? This makes me so mad because according to Mario, and you know Mario's doing such a good job because they spend more time trying to debunk Mario than actually holding the people that are putting our country in the state that it's in accountable. But this is some of what he has to say.
This is massive, exclusive, and breaking news. I heard from a whistleblower who works for the police department in Sault Ste. Marie, where nearly 1,000 people, or over 1,000 people, were laid off from Algoma Steel. Listen to this. The police services was contacted by upper management months ago knowing that the layoffs were coming. The Sault police attended meetings with upper management at Algoma Steel. There, they learned that the layoffs were being planned, and Algoma Steel was worried about protests and workers and staff damaging, sabotaging, and stealing before being laid off. The reason being cited in the news is the tariffs as the cause for the layoffs, but in the meetings, the reasons stated were not that. Algoma Steel is transitioning from coal-powered furnaces to electric green furnaces. One of the new electric furnaces is up and running. The second was supposed to be up and running by now, but it keeps getting delayed indefinitely for many reasons. But Algoma Steel had stopped ordering coal to power the remaining furnaces, anticipating that the 2 arc furnaces would be up and running. They said that since they stopped ordering coal, they can't get that supply back and they will be running out of coal within the month.
So, if you're sitting there thinking that this stuff doesn't happen, it absolutely does. My husband lost his job at Siemens Ontario, and they didn't tell them that they were going to be losing their jobs until one day when the night shift went in for the shift on the Sunday. They were locked out of the building and told, hey, there will be a meeting at the community center. So they had a community center meeting to find out that they were all losing their jobs. So if you think that that doesn't happen, where they're afraid of staff breaking things and would call the cops and do something like that, that is absolutely not out of the ordinary, especially that I am assuming all of management knew about this and that the CEO collects a cool $5 million to be the CEO. And I'm not saying that CEOs shouldn't get paid a lot of money. However, $5 million, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, okay, to probably delegate all of the tasks to clubs like you or I. By the way, Siemens was a factory that held 300 people. This is 1,000 workers. And it's a liberal area, so there's probably all the red tape in the world to make sure that nothing else is going to be put in there until the next election, and if we luck out and vote in a conservative in Northern Ontario. So with all of his mistakes lately, we see more and more people coming out who voted for him to say that they made a mistake. Let's listen to this gal.
Was going to be worse. I regret voting for the Liberal Party of Canada in this last election. Carney sucks. I do not care if PierrePoilievre was going to be worse, because he didn't win and he is not the current Prime Minister.
So people are completely done. And at the end of that, she goes on to say that if you're still supporting him, then you're brainwashed, because he is not doing our country any favors, and she's absolutely correct. I think that maybe she just doesn't know that a lot of his supporters in the comments are actually bots, because there are not a lot of people who are standing on 10 toes for Mark Carney and putting their entire identity on the line, especially with the Liberals. The left really cares about this, the Liberals secretly giving pawns to a country with the beginning letter being I. Okay, that's a huge thing. And now the Indigenous doesn't care that the left doesn't care that all of the jobs are gone unless they're in an area where their job is gone. However, this is the sentiment that I am seeing online, and I'm liking this only because, in my opinion, putting Mark Carney there where Justin Trudeau is, and I've always said I wanted to see Justin Trudeau go down. I would have gone to Ottawa just to watch Justin Trudeau lose that election against PierrePoilievre. And I'm starting to realize that Mark Carney being the hero was exactly what we needed. Because, okay, and I'm just saying this as a hypothetical, I don't actually know, I can't tell the future or anything. Because I truly think that if Pierre went up against Justin Trudeau and won, that they would be able to place Mark Carney where Justin Trudeau is after said election, and Mark Carney would come in, play the politician for a little bit, and then there would be some reason to call an election, and Pierre would be out and Mark Carney would be in. I am beginning to see why this is happening. And I remember when Charlie Kirk put out an episode praying for Canada after our big loss of the Conservative Party, and he basically gave the message of, hold on, because things happen for a reason, God's in control. And, as much as I think it is silly that a bunch of Canadians went and voted for the same party that put us into poverty to save the planet, our psyops are pretty strong. And if you thought that Mark Carney was going to be the one that saved all these people's jobs, well... And Canada is slowly seeing that Mark Carney, although he is a Goldman Sachs banker, and we thought that that title would have landed us connections to bring work into Canada, that's not proving to be correct. And what's happening here is that the rich are getting richer and the poor are quite literally getting more poor. Mark Carney asked us to judge him by the deal that he gets with Trump, by the groceries at the grocery prices at the grocery store, and those are two massive failures. And Canada was already I do think there were a lot of people who wanted to vote conservative, but thought that someone like Mark Carney, because he has so many connections, would be able to get the better deal for Canada and we wouldn't have so many job losses. And I truly think that today, if we did have an election, like today, even if the NDP didn't have a leader, there would be so many Liberals that just don't vote because they're so mad. I do think PierrePoilievre could have won. The betrayal that Stephen Guilbeault is feeling right now, and even he's having ministers turn on him, which you would not think is as big of a deal as Chris D'Entremont leaving the Conservatives going over to the Liberals, but they're still covering that Stephen Guilbeault is quite literally turning on his party because of Mark Carney's MOU deal with Danielle Smith. I thought you guys ran on being a sovereign Canada. I don't know. But either way, I love to see the liberal rats leaving the ship, even if the mainstream media isn't covering it the way that they covered the conservative. And I want you guys to remember that you matter, you're here for a reason, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Let's take a deep breath. And I just want to mention once again that if you're in the Sault Ste. Marie area, I am praying for you right now. Okay, this is not an easy time, and I would feel the utmost betrayal by my government, by my management, and by my union as well. So let me know what you guys thought about today's episode, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.